Hello everyone and welcome back to Cruel and Unusual Storytime. I am your host, Simon Dexter. And today we are traipsing back into fan fiction territory. Because someone wanted to humor my masochism. And that someone is viewer Dathos. Thanks man, your name rocks. It's kind of fun to say. And I'm excited just to touch. Now, I'm no stranger to fan fiction. I have read the first 9 chapters of My Immortal, which I'll get back to that eventually. And I've read the entirety of Dipper Goes to Top. My doctor has suggested I refrain from saying that name. I'm a little too good at making myself gag. Anyway, so yeah, this isn't exactly new territory for me, and it's just a new change I wanted to try doing for the channel. So we're doing the Fan Fiction Sundays. So everyone, if you have suggestions, feel free. Suggestions do not bother me. In fact, they make me excited to do what I'm doing. So never be afraid to suggest. And I really want more from my Sunday segments, because I'm set for Friday creepypastas for a bit. But don't be afraid to suggest for those either, just because I will run out eventually. Just because I'm saying I have a lot doesn't mean it's going to last forever. So yeah, suggest everything. Creepypastas, fanfiction. I want it all. I want it all. Because I'm a greedy motherfucker. So yeah, in case you didn't catch from the title, this particular fanfiction is a Ben 10 fanfiction. Now, I watched a bit of Ben 10 when I was younger. I'll admit that. And I liked it. I liked the premise. It was cool. Like, one kid gets to turn into all these different types of aliens. How neat is that? And it's a really cool prospect. It got a little weird after the first incarnation, though. There's just the original Ben 10 I liked. But as soon as the alien force, an alien swarm, and alien orgies started coming out, it got a bit confusing. Well, not confusing, because that makes me sound like a simpleton, but it just got a bit convoluted to follow after that point, especially when Gwen is an alien too got introduced, and Kevin 11 suddenly a good guy. Ugh. Maybe I just got too old to enjoy it. Maybe I'm just an old fuddy-duddy, who knows. But yeah, so I know a bit about Ben 10, so I could be able to follow this alright. I hope. But I will bet you all $5. Okay, this isn't a fair bet because I read the synopsis. But just gonna give you a fair warning. There's probably gonna be some sexual content, as there tends to be. But I don't know how sexual it's gonna be. Is it gonna be like My Immortal's thingy and you know what? Or are we gonna go into Dipper Goes to you know where's levels? I'm hoping the first one, because that's funner to read. Just a little bit. So, for now, let's just find out. Sit back, relax, and enjoy in unknown clutches. Author's note. I have so missed reading author's note. So this is my first story on here. Stick out tongue face. It is actually based on the fic Alien Observation by Vic Eller. So we are reading a fan fiction of a fan fiction. Glorious. I like the concept as it was very unique, but sadly the story itself didn't appeal to me much. And so I tried writing one that concept myself. Okay. Their English actually isn't that bad. I'll give them props. I hope you like it as I try my best to make it OOC. I don't know what that means. Should I know what that means? I don't know what that means. Do forgive me if I did. It's like out of canon. Well, if I read the synopsis right, it already is out of that. Anyway, disclaimer, I do not own Ben 10, sadly. I think we'll all breathe a sigh of relief for that, seeing as I kind of already know where this is going. I do not own the main idea, as stated before, plus a few similar quotes from Vic's story. I do, however, own the story itself. You only need to do a disclaimer if you're making money off of it, sweetie. Before I forget, I dedicate this story to Miroir Twin. I'm just pronouncing it the best of my ability. It looks kind of a Frenchy word at the beginning. The talented author of the amazing Bowen story, Inverted Lover. Stick out tongue face. So this is going to be another weird incest story, so if that bugs you, you can go. I won't blame you. I don't know why people do this. Actually, I have an idea, and I'll get to that if I get to do it. What's wrong with this in this episode? But I will say, the writing is actually much better than pretty much everyone else's I've read so far. Well, every fan fiction I've read so far. But I remember that changed a lot towards the end in Dipper Goes to Taco Bell. We'll see. Chapter 1. I don't know how many chapters there are. I don't know how long this is going to be. Hopefully it's disappointingly short rather than really fucking long. We'll find out. Damn. Where are we? Benjamin Tennyson, 17-year-old superhero and wielder of the elusive Omnitrix, rubbed his face with the palm of his hands vigorously. Is that how you spell Tennyson? I thought it was with an I. Oh well, that's just me. After rubbing his eyes to clear out his momentarily blackened vision, he instinctively turned to the sounds coming from somewhere to his left. Oh, my head hurts like hell. This is a TV show, Benjamin. A children's TV show. You should not be swearing such swears. Ain't fucking on my show. Ben quickly crawled his way towards his 17-year-old cousin. Okay, firstly, Gwen is older than him. I swear I recall her being like a year or two older than him. So, that makes no sense to me. Not trusting his legs to support his weight at the moment, he stared at the small form in concern, wondering what was wrong. Gwen, are you all right? Gwen, who had been curled up into a fetus position on the floor, straightened up at the sound of her cousin's voice. Seconds later, a strong, warm hand helped her sit up. Fingers brushing her auburn hair away from her face. I think it's just red. Auburn means it's slightly brown. She was met with bright green eyes that were scrutinizing her in worry. This is gonna get weird. I'm fine, Ben. Gwen swatted his hand away, not unkindly, frowning as she looked around. What is this place? Ben sighed aloud, slumping back beside his cousin, and let his head lean against the wall. How should I know? It seems we were captured, Gwen continued slowly. It seems indeed. Squinting her eyes, the room was fully white floor tiles. I thought it was black out there. Whatever. White walls and white tube lights. It was almost blinding her eyes. No kidding, Benjamin murmured sarcastically, as he also looking around in curiosity. Other answers we would have accepted were no shit Sherlock, but whatever. Then on a serious note, there's no damn way out, not a window or a door. Who would have captured us? Why is he... Whatever. Gwen looked at the brunette, biting her lip in sudden fear. I don't know, do you guys ever look at your friends? Like, ever look at me and say, the dirty blonde, brown-haired fellow speaking into the microphone, looking damn sexy today? Feel free to leave that in the comments below. I don't know. Do you think they are aliens? Well, considering the show, I'm willing to bet all of my money that they are. I'm going to lose all my money because they're not really aliens, aren't they? What? Ben laughed amusedly. Aliens? Which ones? Aliens don't hover around Earth just to capture two normal teens. What? But they deal with aliens all the time. That's what they do. Wow, fuck it. God damn it. No, there we go. Gwen scowled. Firstly, Benjamin, aliens come on Earth whenever they want. It's not hard for them to do so. Didn't you see the news last night? Don't you remember any of your adventures prior? What news? Ben asked confusedly, tilting his head to stare into their equally green eyes. I actually always really liked how green their eyes were. I want to meet someone with really that green of eyes. I like eyes. It's a thing of mine. The news about the spotting of a UFO recently. What the fuck is going on? Gwen waved her hands around and exasperated, annoyed at her cousin's lack of information. Two bystanders claimed to have seen a strange man with glowing eyes interrogate them with strange questions. Kevin said they could be aliens. You deal with aliens all the time. Why is this acting like such a strange prospect for you people? Hope you can't hear my cat yowling. Even so, why would they capture us? Hello? Gwen pointed to Ben's wrist, indicating the Omnitrix. We are not normal, remember? At least mentally, I know you're not. That's like the lamest insult I've ever heard. Hey, Ben said bleakly, scooting away from her in mock hurt. Be grateful you are not alone. What kind of dialogue is this? Gwen sighed, putting her hand on her forehead. You're right, I'm sorry. She paused for a moment, contemplating something. What was the date today? What time of the day was it? Was it night? Come to think of it, Gwen didn't even know what the day was. What is the day today? Why does it matter? Hopefully it matters. Ben was slightly thrown back by her question. Nevertheless, he racked his brain to remember the date. Yesterday was a math test at school, which was on the 14th, which meant you don't know how long you've been out. Could have been weeks. Today's the 15th, I guess. Or probably not, Gwen whispered, her green eyes suddenly feeling moist. Maybe we've been here for a long time and we don't know it, see? I'm not dumb. Ben frowned at her proclamation. He quickly made his way to the redhead. Seriously. Do you ever just look at people and whose name you know and have known for a while? Do you ever just think of them as a hair color? Lori. Okay. Enveloping her in a comforting hug. Chill, Gwenny. I'm here with you. Has he ever called her Gwenny? I think he does when he wants to piss her off, if I remember correctly. Gwen trembled lightly. Letting the taller boy comfortingly rub her back up and down, she clutched onto his green jacket tightly. One side of her cheek pressed up against the rough black fabric of his shirt. She felt slightly ashamed at herself for panicking like that, because she's a girl and she's so weak and is unable to emotionally control herself. Female tropes. Always, always classic. Especially in front of Ben, but the thought of being kept imprisoned in a claustrophobic white room for God knows how long made her more than upset. Just pray Jigsaw doesn't come over the intercom and you'll be fine. Or Gladys, I guess, because portal tests would not be much better. Depending. She was devastated. Once she calmed down, Ben let go of her and began inspecting the walls. Gwen's anxiety left him unnerved. She was a strong person, and breaking down in front of him was something very rare. But she just had to, because she couldn't control all that emotion. It made him realize that he had to be the responsible, mature, and sensible one for now, because he's the man, and only the person with the penis can be responsible. He looked back to him, seeing his cousin sitting against the wall, knees drawn up to her chest, green eyes watching his every move, with some sort of hope, but lately he remembered her being claustrophobic, and her heart clenched at sight. She looked like a lost child. Whoever is responsible, Ben shouted suddenly, causing Gwen to jump, will pay for it. I will straight up murder you, because this is not a kid's show anymore. No one has the right to detain the Ben Tennyson. He kicked the wall, punching each kick with a stupid. Why doesn't he turn into one of the big, strong aliens and just break through the wall? Like the weird Tyrannosaurus Rexy themed one. Wait for this little nuisance to go to her room so she doesn't interrupt my recording. End of time now, sis. I do have a sister too, yes. That was it. Now, whatever, fuck it. So much for being sensible and mature. Indeed. Ben, Gwen scolded, though there was a... How dare she shush me? Woman? Give me just 1 second. Let this be a lesson to my younger viewers out there. Just because you graduate high school as I did, you were never truly free. Ben, Gwen scolded, though there was a faint smile on her lips. You're in a dire situation, sweetie. Stop it. That's a wall, not a football. Who punches a football? Who? Save your energy. Who knows? We may need it for later. When escaping. Ah, there's the optimistic Gwen I know. Ben stopped at once, cheerily smiling. Of course we shall escape. Kevin, Julie, or our parents are bound to realize we are missing soon. What use is Julie? Isn't she the normal person? With no powers? Of course your parents aren't going to be much use either, but whatever. Yes, Gwen replied, now smiling with renewed hope. She bumped her cousin with her shoulder joyfully as he slid down beside her. You're right. Now, going to pressing matters, how did we end up here? Ben leaned his head against the smooth wall, propping up an arm over his bent knees. Last evening we were with Kevin, right? Yup, Gwen replied, playing with a strand of her hair nervously. We dropped him off at his favorite mechanic shop to buy spare parts for his car. Yeah, I remember. Ben joined in, turning sideways to look at his cousin. And then it was just me and you. You wanted to go to Mr. Smoothie's, Gwen supplied further, so we parked behind the building in the dark corner under the huge cherry blossom trees you insisted to park under. America isn't really known for having cherry blossom trees, is it? I guess we probably have some, right? I don't know. It just seems really anime to me. Sakura trees and all that jazz. I like that tree, Ben defended himself quickly. Anyway, Gwen rolled her eyes. We got off and heard scuffling noises from the dark alleyway to our left, remember? And this, kids, is why you don't follow noises that are down a dark alleyway. It doesn't go well. Ben nodded, suddenly solemn. I keep telling you those noises are made by the overgrown rats I keep seeing everywhere. Don't be silly, Ben. There are no such thing as 3-foot-long rats with red eyes. You don't know that. You live in a world where there are aliens everywhere. There could be. You just can't see them, Ben grumbled, folding his arms. Is Ben like schizophrenic in this? Where he speaks to 3-foot-tall rats? Weird. And because of this reason, I went alone to inspect the alley. I remember seeing a hooded figure, though. But then, Organization 13, is that you? Why would they be in something so lame? Well, Ben frowned. Oh no, I can't remember anything else. Next minute, I wake up here with you. Probably get a typo. It's not right. He glanced at his cousin, who furiously bit her lip. Gwen, what happened to you? I followed you when you weren't coming back to the car, she replied quietly, eyes staring the opposite walls in thought. I was so scared I went to the alleyway and saw a hooded figure as well. It was a woman? Womans can't be abductors, that's obscene. I'm sure you can hear the shower, but it is a lot less annoying than having to hear my sister bang every single door in the house and constantly shh at the cats. So, just pretend it's rain. That's what I'm gonna do. Anyway, Gwen nodded, remembering seeing the pale... I'm never free. Flawless face and ruby red lips. Yeah, and I just stared at her. That's all I remember. Her strangely golden eyes were the last thing I actually saw. There was a silence in the small room for a while. Both cousins stared ahead, not really seeing anything. It's a boring white room, so that's to be expected. Ben let out a soft sigh as Gwen put her head on his shoulder, cuddling closer to him. I don't know why, she began softly. I feel we are being watched like lab rats or something. I suddenly remember why I don't record on weekends anymore. Oh well. The brunette swept the escape. I would really appreciate if you could use some other aspect about the characters to describe them. Swept the escaping red tendrils away from Gwen's face, tucking it gently behind one ear absent-mindedly. Really? Huh, maybe they are. Yeah, Gwen said, feeling despair creep up her heart. She stared at her hands, playing with her fingers, until a thought crossed her mind. Wait! She looked up, eyes sparkling with excitement. My magic! Actually, it's an ethereal force controlled by her alien ancestry. But if that's just too much of a mouthful for you... No, I'm not being serious about that at all. I can use my mana to help us. There's got to be a way. She stood up, gathering her energy and focus like she had never before. She waited for the familiar tingle to erupt at the palm of her hands, waited for the comfortable warmth to envelop her body, like always. Nothing. Nada. Zero. Feel free to use any other synonym. Just so you know, writers, unless you're writing a comedy, a good way to make your writing not feel professional anymore is by addressing the audience mid-paragraph. Anyway. Ben stared at the redhead, I swear to God, with curiosity. Why wasn't her mana appearing like it always did? He waited patiently for a full minute, God forbid, quietly watching Gwen to summon the magenta light between her hands. Oh, is pink not good enough for you? I don't know what I'm trying to say here. He waited another full minute watching his cousin stare at her hands in misery. When Gwen looked like she was about to hit her head on the wall, he finally decided to approach her. Ben, she stated as he came close, I can't do it. My anodite powers, they're not working. It's okay, Gwen. Ben gripped her shoulders gently, making her a little so that she would look into his eyes, shaking her a little. Okay, I did not read that right, and I don't know why. Don't lose your cool. I can't let you go into a mental breakdown right now. Kevin would kill me. God forbid. Gwen playfully aimed a punch at Ben's face. That's not playful. You don't aim for the face. Smiling lightly as he ducked to avoid the blow. Typical of Ben to make the worst of the situations a light. Make the worst of the situations a light joke. That didn't come out right. That's what you loved about him at times. Ben, how about the Omnitrix? You know, the thing the entire show's about. The thing you use at any opportunity you possibly can. How about you use a fucking Omnitrix? Sorry, I'm just curious why he didn't think that first. She said, holding onto the brunette's wrist like a child. She's older than him. Why are you taking away her mentor status and bringing her down to such a basic level? Try it. Ben hesitated, although he was goofy at times and not as smart as his cousin, even though you're treating her like a child at this point for whatever reason. He had a trickle of leadership qualities within him. He knew how to take control of the situation, whether when being under attack or being the one to attack, even though you couldn't remember any of those aliens from before for whatever reason. In this particular instance, the moment Gwen had started losing it, Ben tried to activate the Omnitrix. Sadly, he got a shock. Okay, Gwen. Ben fiddled with the watch like before as Gwen whimpered loudly. Again. Why are they, taking away her character traits to make her sort of a damsel here? It's kind of pathetic. I don't know. I don't like it when they take strong women characters and then take away all that strength just because there's supposed to be romance in the air. Romance. Because sometimes I find strong women very sexy. And I'm not just saying that to be the good guy who wants all the chicks. I don't really give a shit. I'm single and I'm loving it, frankly. But yeah, strong women are, frankly, some of the more attractive ones out there. But whatever. Whatever floats your fucking boat. He pressed the side button, sliding down the square's face plate to lock the selection. He was relieved the Omnitrix core came out. Miserably, nothing happened when he pressed down on it. Oh god, we're seriously trapped in a doorless, windowless room. Gwen started to sob lightly. Just calm. Like I said, unless Jigsaw comes over the fucking intercom, you're okay. Clutching her arms protectively. Ben, what are we going to do? What is wrong with the Omnitrix? I don't know, let's just sit here. Something's bound to happen eventually. You're not in a room for no reason, I assure you. The Omnitrix looks fine, Ben muttered seriously. No damage whatsoever. It is fully operational, too, yet nothing happened when I triggered it. He turned to Gwen, who was pacing the small room. Gwen. I'm okay, Ben, Gwen said softly. The second time that day. She wiped the tears away, willing herself to remain strong. Something you usually don't have that much of a problem with in every other story arc you've been in. Yet no matter what way she looked at it, she saw no escape route. Ben could not morph into an alien and whisk them away, nor could she herself do anything. Her powers. She was never without her powers, except for the first season of the show. She relied on them too much. She felt betrayed and claustrophobic. What the heck is going on? I'm going to censor you, Benjamin, because you're not supposed to be saying such naughties. Only I am allowed to fucking swear on this show, and all the people in the comments can swear as much as they fucking want, because I am not their mother. The situation was going from bad to worse, not to mention Gwen's increasing mental depression. I need answers now! I'm not going to shout, because there's people who can hear me. We shall answer your question, human. It's about fucking time. Did they really think they were just going to be stuck in a room forever? Did they really think no one was going to do anything? This is a sci-fi action thing, not a horror story. If it was a horror story, yeah, you'd be stuck in there left to rot. But since it's what it is, they're there for a reason. I'm just saying. Ben and Gwen simultaneously looked at each other, mirroring identical expressions of surprise. They looked around for any source of the voice, more surprised to see a speaker hanging from the corner of the ceiling. Why did they not see it before? Probably because you're too dumb to realize it. Or it probably, came out of a panel. I don't know. What do I know? You cannot escape, the strange inhuman voice continued. And we do not intend to let you yet. This spaceship is activated with scalar fields, hence the cause of scaling your device and other abnormal energy matter. There's nothing wrong with me, Gwen whispered to her cousin, feeling half relieved and half angry. Did she really not even think to consider maybe they were in a space that was taking their powers away? Again, this isn't a horror story. You're not just whatever. She turned to the speaker, shouting, Why are we here? Why only me and Ben and no one else? Selecting human mates is a very delicate matter. Actually, pitting two people who are related to each other is not a good idea. The voice said again, We selected only you both as we need only one male and only one female of your species. The fact that you're going to be related and create a messed up baby, or the statistics of your baby being more messed up is much higher at this point. Mates, Ben said in a confused voice. What does that have to do with me and Gwen, and why was it me and Gwen? Because the writer has very sick fantasies of you. Enjoy that, headphone wearers. There was a pause at the other end, in which both cousins glanced at each other in unease. To your first question, yes, mates, we intend to study your species thoroughly, and one based research is still not covered. The sexy kind. And that is, oh god, Gwen, I figured it out before you did. Granted, I cheated and read the synopsis, but whatever. I would have figured it out anyway. Already knowing the answer. Why did you ask? Breeding between two humans, of course. Both cousins gasped aloud, Ben roaring mindlessly, and Gwen blushing with embarrassment. No, I absolutely refuse. We can't do this. You don't have a choice. You're stuck in a room with no powers that make you do whatever they want. Ben managed to sputter out a few proper words, to his own surprise. See, that's how you use a parentheses. My immortal did not know how. That was perfect. Indeed, you can, and you will. The reply made Gwen shiver in fear suddenly. To your second question, we selected you both because you qualify our preferred criteria. One male, pre-adult, physically normal, and one female of similar qualities. You both share high levels of understanding and proper interactions and a healthy emission of stable pheromones. Also, you both share similar DNA, which has much less of a chance of producing any biological errors in our tests. That is incorrect. Similar DNA fucks up. I don't know. Enough, you will do as we wait, what? Ben shouted, not believing his ears. His mind swam with words like physically normal, pheromones, and similar DNA. You cannot be serious. Gwen and I are family. We simply cannot do this. Yeah. Also, some contractions would have really helped there. Because I feel a teenager wouldn't be saying cannot. They would be saying can't. Enough! You will do as we say, and I provide us all the needed information. Once completed, we shall set you two free without harm. Otherwise, the one who won't comply shall be exterminated. Like, they didn't see that coming. I did. We don't care, Ben yelled, hands balled into fist. Kill us if you want. We won't cooperate with your stupid schemes. Okay, yeah, I know I'm a little against the incest thing, but if someone's threatening you with death... I mean, there are worse things you could do. Like I said, I've seen all the Saws. There's a lot worse that could be happening right now. There was another silence from the other side, and both teens could hear faint mumbling in some unknown language. Gwen bit her lip continuously, gingerly placing a hand on Ben's shoulder. Okay, yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be starting now, so if you would like to leave, I don't blame you. Ben, she whispered, flinching slightly as the taller boy whipped around to stare at her. Please calm down. Don't you understand, Gwen? Ben seized her up her arm, shaking her roughly. Can't you see what they're going to make us do? So freaking wrong. Benjamin. The show is rated TVG. Maybe TVPG, I don't know. TVPGV. Stop it, Gwen squirmed in his grasp, suddenly afraid of her own cousin's strength. Again, why did they have to take away everything that made her somewhat interesting? You're hurting me, Benjamin. She wouldn't call him Benjamin that often, just me, though. Ben realizing his cousin actually teared up again, instantly released her. He ran a hand through his messy brown hair, vaguely aware that the room was silent again apart from Gwen's sobs. He looked at her quivering form, hating himself. I'm so sorry, Gwenny. Again, he wouldn't be calling her that, I don't think. That's fucking annoying. It's like people calling me... My name sucks for nicknames. Ben approached her slowly, gently wrapping his arms around her this time. It was obvious that Gwen was traumatized by all this. You were stuck in a room for like 5 minutes and being told to fuck your cousin is weird. Very weird. Still, not all that much negative has happened that hasn't happened worse to you before, save for the being asked to fuck your cousin part. And here he was, scaring her more. I mean to hurt you, I swear, it's just... We can't play along. Tell me, are you willing to do as they say? Of course not, she's a rational human being. Gwen dried her tears, and she heard Ben's steady heartbeat. Once again, she found herself pressed up against his muscled chest, feeling embarrassed yet again. Never once before did she break down in front of and hug her annoying cousin repeatedly with the span of an hour. She was beginning to wonder why fate was being such a joke. No, it's wrong. I don't want to die, Ben. They won't kill you. I won't let them. You're not really going to have much of a say if you can't use your watch, sport. But they will kill you, Gwen said softly, fear for her cousin thick inside her heart. I can't see that happening, Ben. I can't let you die. These aliens whatsoever are dangerous, and we clearly have no chance of ever escaping. Of course, if this was the show, there'd be some wacky scheme somewhere in the background. Ben stayed silent for a moment. He kept hugging his cousin, unable to see the expression. She had said all that. Unable to see her expression as she had said all that. In a way, he was grateful, but he didn't think he could bear to see the embarrassment and fear on her face. Gwen, what about Kevin and Julie and our parents? What will they do if... They will never know about this. Whatever happens in the White Room stays in the White Room. Again, you're welcome. Gwen cut in sharply, pushing away her cousin, taking a couple steps away from him. Never, I won't tell them, and obviously you won't. Don't you want to escape alive, Ben? Rather than Benjamin. That's getting on my fucking nerves. Ben stared at her in surprise. One moment she was crying mess, clutching onto him in comfort, and the next she suddenly distanced herself from him, speaking coldly and hugging herself as though in pain. Yeah, it's not realistic to me either, Ben. Well, it's realistic, but not for this show. The brunette knew Gwen was not joking. Ben knew she was not joking because I have other things other than my hair. She was serious, a fact he identified especially when she called him by his full name. Okay, he whispered to her, suddenly feeling numb. Then with a louder, angry voice, he told the speaker, "Okay, fine, we'll do it. For fun. Do as you say, but first let us out of this room. Gwen does not feel well here." He glanced at Gwen as he said this, noticing that she was unresponsive to his unusual request. He slowly walked towards her, though he made no move to be physically in contact with her. Something in her stance made him want to give her some space. Instead, he bent his head lower and whispered, "Maybe while they move us, we can try to escape. That's not going to work." Gwen just remained silent, observing the white floor without thought. She felt mentally tired all of a sudden, wishing she could close her eyes and go to sleep. Apprehension, fear, disgust, all the negative emotions swirled inside her body, making her nauseous. She never even blinked, but when Ben told her his plan, though it did slightly amuse her. "You dummy," rather than saying dumbass, because again, sorry. One thing that really bugs me is when something never swears and then you suddenly throw obscenities in there, it just feels not right. Like, if you're going to stay somewhat canon to your source material, you should do so with the speech as well, just so it feels natural to someone who knows the characters. Like me, I don't see them talking like this. And I know it's cool and hip to swear. I mean, why do you think I fucking do it? Because I want to be seen cool and hip to the youngsters. But when you do it to characters, it just characters that don't normally do it. Like, that's why I wasn't a big fan of it in my Immortal either. It just comes off as kind of foolish, and like you're just trying to make it seem more intense than it needs to be. You can do it without swearing. Swearing is a crutch, really. A crutch that totally evaporates your entire vocabulary. Which is why sometimes I don't sound all that intelligent. Anyway, she played without emotion, still looking at the floor. We're most likely in outer space, so there's definitely no way to escape alive. It's called an escape pod, you cynic. Ben raised his eyebrows at her reply. Before he could say anything, the familiar voice he started to hate filled the room. "Excellent. Just all the research with a few basic physical tests. You both will have to be separated for a while as they are conducted individually." "No, I will not be separated from Gwen. Such emotional bonding is very good, human." The mechanical voice seemed pleased, and Ben unwillingly felt heat rise up his neck. "But it is for a short time, I assure you. You will eventually unite and carry on the mating as we require." Ben closed his eyes at the last part, feeling more and more mortified. Please God, no more torture, even though literally nothing has happened in the story at all. Holy shit, that was long. It was only chapter 1, too. So I guess this is going to bleed into a few weeks, because I'm willing to bet there's more than 2 chapters. So we'll do that. So I'm going to try and keep this short, just so I don't make this 40 minutes. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, like the video. Those, thanks again for the suggestion. As for thoughts on the first chapter, kind of boring. Like, if this was a horror story, this chapter would have been really good, but it's clearly not. And with the characters, it just doesn't work. It's really kind of not my cup of tea. So we will resume this next week. Same time, same place. See you all real soon.